The email confirmation for the divorce mediator lands in my inbox 40 minutes before my sister's wedding video goes live on her page. 40 minutes. I sit there in my work clothes, still smelling like the venue's cheap air freshener, and I do the math on that timing like it's going to tell me something new. It doesn't. I already know. Callum picked today on purpose. He's not cruel like that normally. That's what makes it land. 11 years of a man who remembers how I take my coffee, who reads instructions manuals cover to cover before assembling anything, who has never once raised his voice at me. And this is how he chose to say it's over? Not a conversation, a scheduled email, timed to a day he knew I'd already be flattened. You spent the last 8 months planning her wedding, he told me 2 nights ago, standing in our kitchen with his coat still on like he hadn't decided if he was staying long enough to take it off. I spent the last 8 months planning my exit. I figured we were both busy. I laughed. Actual laugh, out loud, the kind that surprises you on the way out. Because it's such a Callum thing to say. Precise, quiet, and somehow the exact sentence that guts you slower than a scream would. Here's what I didn't tell him. Standing in that kitchen. I didn't just spend 8 months on Priya's wedding. I spent 31 years being the person who spends 8 months on Priya's wedding. This is not new behavior. This is the behavior. It just finally cost me something I couldn't get back with an apology and a hug at Sunday dinner. Let me take you back, because you need the whole shape of this before I show you the wedding. Priya is 2 years younger than me, and from the time she was 6 and I was 8, our mother had a phrase she used like scripture. Marissa, you're the strong one. I didn't ask to be the strong one. Nobody sat me down and offered me the job with a salary and benefits. It was just assigned, the way house chores get assigned to whoever's tallest. Priya cried easily. I didn't. So when things broke, plans, moods, plates, I was the one expected to not be the reason, and not be bothered by the reason either. By the time we were adults, the pattern had a name nobody used out loud. Priya feels things, and Marissa handles things. So when Priya got engaged to Dominic last year and called me sobbing with happiness at 11 at night, I did what I always do. I said yes before she finished the sentence. Yes, I'll help. Yes, I'll do the seating chart. Yes, I'll deal with the caterer who kept trying to upcharge her for a cake she never ordered. Yes, yes, yes. The reflex so old I don't experience it as a decision anymore. It just happens, the way your hand pulls back from something hot before your brain finishes registering pain. Callum watched all of it, quietly for months. He didn't complain when I missed our anniversary dinner for a dress fitting 3 states away. He didn't complain when I spent our savings, the ones we'd been building toward a down payment, to cover a vendor deposit Priya's own father-in-law backed out of at the last minute. I told myself it was a loan. I told myself Priya would pay me back the second the honeymoon ended. I believed that the way you believe something you need to be true. What I didn't clock, because I was too far inside it to see the outline, is that every single time I bent for my sister, I was quietly asking my husband to bend around the space I'd left empty. And a person can only hold that shape for so long before something in them just stops holding it. The wedding was 3 days ago. It was, by every measurable standard, beautiful. Priya cried at the altar. My mother cried harder. I stood up there in a dress I'd altered myself at midnight because the seamstress double-booked, smiling so hard my face ached, thinking, I did this. I built this whole day out of my own hands. I didn't know yet that I was also, somewhere across town, quietly losing my own house. 3 days after that wedding, Callum sent the email. And the family group chat, the one still flooded with wedding photos, still glowing with hearts and best day ever, has no idea that 40 minutes after that video went live, my marriage had an official end date. They're about to find out. And when they do, the story they tell themselves isn't going to be about Priya at all. It's going to be about me. The group chat is called The Girls, which has always been funny to me because it's my mother, my sister, my Aunt Renata's daughter Sophia, and me. 4 women, one of whom is being quietly erased from the family mythology in real time and doesn't know it yet. At 6:42 p.m., 3 days after the wedding, my mother posts a photo from the reception. Me and Priya, arms around each other, foreheads touching, both of us laughing at something Dominic said off camera. The caption reads, "My girls, so proud." I stare at that photo for longer than I mean to, because in it, I look like someone whose life is fine. I look like a woman who has a husband waiting at home, not a man 3 towns over sitting in a rented apartment he found without telling me he was looking. I don't respond to the photo. I can't figure out what face to put on it yet. Here's the thing about growing up as the strong one. You get very good at holding your face still while something in your chest reorganizes itself. I learned that skill at 9 years old, the first time Priya broke my Walkman and cried about it before I even had the chance to be upset, and our mother handed her a tissue and told me to let it go. She didn't mean it. I have been letting it go for 22 years. I am extremely well practiced. If you've ever been the one who didn't mean it gets applied to, and not the one who let it go gets asked of, you already know exactly the shape of what I'm describing. I don't have to explain it to you. You've lived inside it. So let me tell you honestly before we go further. If any of this sounds like your own house growing up, that's exactly why I'm telling you this one. Not because it's rare, because it isn't. And if you want more of these, the ones that put language to the thing you couldn't name for years, that's what this channel is for. Subscribe, and I'll keep finding them. Now back to the group chat, because it's about to get worse. 2 days pass. I still haven't told anyone about Callum. I'm not hiding it out of shame. I've done nothing here that requires shame, whatever the family ends up deciding later. I'm hiding it because I know, with total certainty, what will happen the second I say the words out loud in that chat. My mother will ask what I did. Not what happened, what I did. She's asked me that question my entire life, in different phrasing, about different men, different friendships, different jobs I've left. It is her first move, every time, automatically, the way some people's first move is to ask if you're hungry. My mother's first move is to locate my fault in the situation before she's located the situation itself. I finally tell Priya first, just her alone on the phone, because some old loyalty in me still believes she's the safer one to tell. She goes quiet for a second. Then she says, "Oh my God, is this because of the wedding stuff? Because I can pay you back the vendor money. I told you I would." And I want to laugh again. That same ugly, startled laugh. Because she's already made this about the money. Not about me. Not about 11 years. The money. The thing that's easiest to solve, so she can feel like she solved something. "It's not about the money, Priya," I tell her. "Then what is it about?" I don't answer right away. Because the honest answer, it's about every year before the money. Every yes I gave before this one. Every time I disappeared myself a little to keep you comfortable. That answer is bigger than a phone call. That answer needs 6 segments, and I don't have them yet, standing in my kitchen with my coat still on, same as Callum was. So I say the smaller, true thing instead. It's about the fact that I've been showing up for you my whole life, and nobody in this family has ever once asked what that cost me. The line goes silent for 4 full seconds. I count them. Then she says the sentence that's going to detonate everything in the next 24 hours. "Wow. Okay. I guess I know how you really feel about my wedding." She hangs up before I can correct her. And I already know, the way you know weather is coming from the pressure change in a room, that by tomorrow morning, the story in that group chat isn't going to be about my marriage ending. It's going to be about how I ruined her wedding week to make it about myself. By 8 a.m. the next morning, the group chat has 14 unread messages, and none of them are from me. My mother opens with, "Can we please not do this the week after your sister's wedding?" Not a question. A closing statement disguised as one, the way she's always done it, deciding the conversation is over before anyone else has voted. Aunt Renata, who has known me since I was in diapers and has never once asked me a direct question about my own life, chimes in with, "Marissa has always struggled to be happy for other people." I read that sentence 4 times. I have spent 11 years planning a life with a man I loved. I built my sister an entire wedding with my own hands, my own money, my own sleepless nights. And the read on me, delivered with total confidence by a woman who sends the same forwarded Bible verse to the chat every Sunday, is that I struggle to be happy for other people. Here's what nobody in that chat knows yet, because I haven't told them, and because they've never once asked with enough patience to find out. The vendor deposit I covered wasn't a gift. It was every dollar Callum and I had saved toward a house. I didn't mention that when I offered the money, because mentioning it would have required Priya to sit with discomfort for longer than 4 seconds, and keeping Priya comfortable is, apparently, still my job in this family. Even now. Even during my own divorce. So let me ask you something, because I think you already know the answer from your own life, wherever you're watching this from. When did you first notice that your comfort was never actually the priority? That you were the one expected to manage everyone else's? I'd genuinely like to know. Drop it below. I read every single one of these. Because that question is the whole hinge of this story. Not the wedding. Not even Callum, really. The question of when a person stops being loved for who they are and starts being valued for what they absorb. Priya calls me at 9:15, not to apologize, to manage the narrative before it moves further than she can control it. "I told Mom you didn't mean it," she says, like she's done me a favor. "I said you're just going through a hard time." I don't need you managing what I said, Priya. I need you to actually hear it. I did hear it. You said I never think about what things cost you. That's a lot, Marissa, on my wedding week. I close my eyes, because there it is again, my wedding week. Like grief has a scheduling conflict. Like my marriage ending is an inconvenient overlap in her calendar rather than the actual end of 11 years of my life. It's not your wedding week anymore, I say slowly. It's been 3 days. You're married. The week is over. My marriage is over too. Those 2 things happened at the same time, and I don't think that's a coincidence, and I don't think you want to look at why. She doesn't answer that. She changes the subject to whether I'm coming to the gift opening brunch on Sunday, as though I hadn't said anything at all. As though the sentence just passed through her the way water passes through a hand. That's when I understand something I should have understood a decade ago. This isn't a misunderstanding. It was never going to resolve itself with the right words, said clearly enough, at the right volume. Priya doesn't fail to hear me. She succeeds at not hearing me, every time, because hearing me would require changing something, and there has never once been a cost to her for not changing. I've been the only one paying in this family. I just finally ran out of things to pay with. My phone buzzes again before I even set it down. It's my mother, this time in a private message, separate from the group chat. The kind she sends when she wants deniability later. It says, "Please don't ruin this for her. You've always been the stronger one. Act like it." I read that message standing in the kitchen where Callum told me he was leaving, in the same spot, under the same light, and I think, for the first time in my entire life, about what would happen if I simply stopped acting like it. I don't act like it. For the first time in 31 years, I don't act like it. I text my mother back 4 words. "I'm done acting, Mom." Then I put my phone face down on the counter and I make coffee, and I let the silence that follows be the loudest thing that's happened in this family in a decade. It doesn't stay silent for long. By that afternoon, my cousin Sophia, who has met Callum exactly twice, who has never asked me a single question about my marriage in 11 years, sends a message to the group chat that says, "I just think it's really sad that some people can't separate their own issues from a happy occasion." She doesn't say my name. She doesn't have to. Everyone in that chat knows exactly whose issues she's referring to. What strikes me isn't the cruelty of it, it's the confidence. Sophia has no information. She wasn't there for the vendor deposit, the missed anniversary, 11 years of yeses. She has one photo of me looking upset in a family chat, and a story my mother and sister have already started telling before I've said a single public word in my own defense. And she's willing to publish an opinion on my character based entirely on that story. That's when the pattern finally goes all the way through me, cold and complete, like the moment a puzzle piece you've been forcing for an hour suddenly, obviously, fits. This family doesn't need me to be guilty of anything. They need a story that keeps Priya innocent and the wedding untouched, and I am simply the easiest available material for building that story. It was never really about what I did. It's about what role is left empty once Priya's role is protected. And that role, every single time, for as long as I can remember, gets filled by me. I think about the 8 months of planning, the dress fittings I paid for that weren't mine, the caterer calls I took during my lunch breaks at work while Priya wasn't good with confrontation, the night I sat on the phone with a florist for 90 minutes, negotiating a refund on flowers Priya ordered and then changed her mind about, twice, while Callum sat across the room, watching me apologize to a stranger for my sister's indecision. He never said anything during any of it. Not one complaint. I used to think that meant it didn't bother him. Now I understand it meant something worse. He'd already quietly decided the marriage wasn't going to survive it, and he was simply waiting to see if I'd notice in time to stop it. I didn't. That's the part that sits heaviest. Not that he left, that I was too deep inside the pattern to see the exit sign he was pointing at for months. I call him. First time since the email. He picks up on the second ring, which tells me he was waiting, hoping, maybe, that I would. "I saw the group chat," he says quietly. Priya must have added him at some point during the planning, back when we were still a unit that got added to things together. "Are you okay?" "No," I say. And then, because I owe him at least this much honesty after 11 years, "I think I finally understand what you were trying to tell me. I just understood it 3 days too late." He doesn't gloat. He was never going to gloat. That's not who he is, which somehow makes this whole thing hurt in a more specific way. "I didn't leave because of the wedding," he says. "I left because I watched you disappear one favor at a time for a year, and I realized you'd let it happen to the version of us, too, eventually. I didn't want to be married to someone who'd already been trained to think her own needs were the negotiable ones." I don't have a response to that, because it's true, and because there's nothing lonelier than hearing the most accurate sentence anyone's ever said about you, 1 week too late to use it. That night, my mother sends one more message, not to the group chat this time, directly to me. It reads, "Your sister is asking if you're still coming to Sunday brunch. I told her you needed time. Please don't embarrass this family further." I read the words "further" like I've already committed some offense I wasn't told about. And I realize, staring at my phone in a house that's about to be sold or split or emptied, that Sunday brunch isn't really an invitation. It's a test to see if I've learned my role again. I don't go to Sunday brunch. That's the whole decision, made in one plain sentence to myself in an empty kitchen. I am not going to sit at a table and perform recovery from a marriage this family helped end so that everyone else can enjoy their eggs in peace. I text Priya instead, not the family chat. Her, directly, one message, no follow-up. "I'm not coming Sunday. I need you to actually sit with why instead of managing it before you do. She doesn't respond for 6 hours. When she finally does, it's not an apology. It's a paragraph, clearly drafted and redrafted, the kind of message that's been shown to someone else before it was sent to me. I think it's unfair that you're punishing me for having a wedding. I didn't ask you to spend that money. I didn't ask you to do all that stuff. You always just do things and then get mad later that you did them. That's not my fault, that's yours. I sit with that message for a long time. Longer than it deserves, honestly. Because there's a sliver of a true thing buried in it. The kind of half-truth that's dangerous precisely because it isn't a full lie. I did offer, every time. Nobody held a knife to my hand while I wrote the deposit check. But offering isn't the same as choosing freely. Not when the alternative, saying no, letting something Priya wanted fall apart in front of her, has never once, in 31 years, been presented to me as an option that wouldn't cost me the family's approval. That's the actual pattern, finally all the way visible. It was never that I chose to give. It's that refusing was never modeled as survivable. Every single time I said yes, I wasn't being generous. I was avoiding finding out what happens to the version of me who says no. I found out anyway. I said no to brunch, and the sky didn't fall. My mother didn't disown me. My sister didn't stop being my sister. The only thing that happened is a family that's used to a particular shape of me had to sit for one Sunday without that shape in the room. 2 days later, my mother calls. Not texts, calls, which she reserves for things she's decided are serious. "Your sister's very hurt," she opens with. "I know," I say. "So am I." There's a long pause. I can hear her breathing, deciding something. "I didn't realize," she says finally, quieter than I've heard her in years, "how much you were carrying. I don't think any of us did. You never said no, so we never thought to ask if you wanted to." It's not a full accounting. It's not even close to enough, honestly, measured against 31 years. But it's the first time in my entire life my mother has said a sentence that puts the responsibility somewhere other than squarely on me. And I don't know what to do with my hands while I listen to it. "I'm not trying to punish anyone," I tell her. "I'm trying to find out who I am when I'm not the strong one. I don't actually know that person yet." "That sounds lonely," she says. "It is," I say, "but it's mine. For the first time, it's actually mine." She doesn't fix it in that phone call. Nobody fixes 31 years in one conversation, and if a story ever tells you it's that easy, don't trust that story. But something shifts. A door left open a few inches where before there was only a wall with my name painted on it, holding weight. Priya doesn't call. Not yet. I don't know if she will. What I do know, standing in my kitchen that's finally, quietly, just mine, is that I'm no longer waiting by the phone to find out. It's been 6 weeks since the wedding. The divorce is filed, moving through the slow, gray machinery divorces move through, and I've stopped checking my phone every hour expecting an apology that I've finally accepted might not come in the shape I once needed it to. Priya did call eventually. 3 weeks in. Not with the speech I used to fantasize about, the one where she says all 11 words I'd rehearsed for her in my head at 2 a.m. She's still Priya. She still occasionally makes it about the money, or the timing, or how hard it's been for her to feel like the villain in a story about her own wedding. But she also said one thing that mattered. She said, "I don't actually know how to ask you for something without you just doing it before I finish asking. I think I need to learn that. I think we both do." That's not an apology. I want to be honest with you about that, because I think honesty is the only thing that makes this channel worth your time. It's not an apology. But it's the first sentence my sister has ever said to me that treats my labor as something that was actually happening, rather than something that simply occurs, the way weather occurs, without a person behind it who could get tired. I moved into a smaller place last month. Smaller than the house Callum and I almost bought with money that went to a wedding vendor instead. Some mornings that math still stings. But I've started noticing something new in that apartment. Quiet that isn't waiting for anyone to need something from me. I didn't know that kind of quiet existed. I'd never once been inside it long enough to recognize the sound. Callum and I talk sometimes, not as a couple, as two people who were honest with each other exactly once, too late, and found out that honesty, even late, still counts for something. He told me a few weeks ago that he hopes I find out who I am outside of being everyone's strong one. I told him I hope that for myself, too. I think, for the first time, I actually believe it's possible. Here's what I keep coming back to, lying awake in that too quiet apartment. Nobody in my family ever sat me down and said, "Your job is to absorb whatever this family can't hold." Nobody wrote it in a contract. It was built the same way most patterns like this get built. One small yes at a time, until the yeses become a personality, and the personality becomes a role, and the role becomes a woman standing in her kitchen at 31, watching her marriage end on a timer set by someone else's wedding. If you've been the strong one in your family, your friend group, your own marriage, I'm not going to tell you to stop. That's not my call to make for you, and honestly, some of it is genuinely who you are, not just who you were assigned to be. But I will tell you this. Notice the difference. Notice when you're giving because it's yours to give, and notice when you're giving because saying no was never actually presented to you as an option. That difference is everything. It took me 31 years and one marriage to learn it. There's another story I've been sitting with, about a woman who spent years managing everyone's peace but her own, until the exact moment she finally stopped. And what that cost her, and what it gave her back, turned out to be two very different numbers. I think you're going to want to see how that one ends. I'm Hani. People always show you who they are. Wet Teddy just slows it down. I'll see you in the next one.